In the last lecture, I explained to you that we want to reduce the iteration of the software development lifecycle. Let me now explain you how this works in detail. Let's start with the software development lifecycle itself. It all starts with the developer. The developer will write some code, some software, and then that software needs to be built. The developer will use feature and master branches if he's using Git, which is very popular nowadays. He will probably develop his features in a separate branch of the code, which is just a copy of the software project, but that is his own copy where he's done working on. The feature and master branches both need to be built, need to be compiled. If you want to know more about version control, I'm not really going to cover it here in detail, but I have another course about Learn DevOps, continuously deliver better software, that explains how Git and this workflow works. This, just on a side note, what's going to happen is we're going to use Jenkins to do the build. Jenkins is going to compile a feature or a master branch, and if this fails, it can send the developer already some feedback. It's going to say, okay, your build failed because there was a compile error, for instance, a syntax error. So the developer can then make changes, commit those changes to version control, and build it again. After the build process, we're going to have a test process. There are lots of tests that can be written by the developer or by the QA team to test the software, to test the features, whether they really work or not. You have unit tests, integration tests, regression tests, user acceptance tests. You have all kinds of tests that you can run. What's going to happen is this software is going to be tested, and if there is a failure in the test, again, the developer will be notified that he needs to make changes to his code or to the test sometimes. If build and test are successful, then the release process can start. First, to release the software, it needs to be packaged. It can be packaged in an archive, in a zip, it can be packaged in a container, in a VM. It really depends on the project how you want to package it. Once it's packaged, we can provision servers and we can deploy our software on the servers. So we're going to deploy our package to a Windows server, a Linux server, or to a device. And then the customer will be able to use our application. This process needs to be planned and monitored. We need to make sure that we make some kind of plan to approach this lifecycle, and we have to monitor this lifecycle to see if we can improve anything to it. In a nutshell, what we want to achieve is that this process goes as fast as possible. Whenever a developer creates new code, we want to release it as quickly as possible to the customer. The build, test, and release process can be done using Jenkins. It's possible to use Jenkins for build and test and still use something else for release, to package the software and then deploy it on the devices or the services, or you can use Jenkins for the whole lifecycle. I'll show you in this course how to build, test, and release your software using Jenkins. And to package your software, in this course we'll be using Docker. If you have a really good process, you can deploy to production multiple times per day. On the other side, if it takes you a month, 2 months, or 6 months to go through this process and you want to reduce it, then improving your CI/CD is probably the solution you are looking for. There are also Jenkins alternatives. I just have this slide here for completeness. I think Jenkins is a great CI/CD tool, but of course there are other ones as well. For self-hosted, there is Drone CI, which is very new and is a continuous delivery platform written in Go. You also have TeamCity by JetBrains. Then you have a lot of hosted CIs and CDs. They provide the same software, but then as a service. You have, for instance, Worker, Circle CI, CodeShip, and Semaphore CI. Just a few examples of companies that provide you the same capabilities, but then as a service. If you use Amazon Cloud Services, then have a look at the CI/CD tools that Amazon has. They are perhaps limited, but they are often better integrated with their other services.